we were just together walking in the street, some city out in the Northwest, maybe Seattle, somewhere in that area maybe. And we walked into a restaurant just off the street, and the man kind of looked at Prez and looked at me as if to say, I wonder what these two are up to, or what are they even doing together, and why do they want to eat in my restaurant? And Lester said, come on outside, Bob. And we went back outside. He said, let's find another place to eat. He said, so I said, why? I'm not going to be put off by him. You know, he doesn't like black people, or he doesn't like white people, or black people and white people together. So I'm not going to be put off by him. And when I was 18, I was ready to throw a punch. I thought there were things worthwhile throwing a punch about, and I would have thrown a punch at the man. And Press said to me, no, it does not pay to do this. He said, I frankly do not want to eat where I'm not welcome. And at the moment, I didn't like it, but it taught me a lesson. He knew about those things. Now, someone could say to me, well, gee, Bob, that's just thumbnail sense. I don't know about that.
Fred went in the Army on a Friday. I went in the Army on a Monday. Fort MacArthur, Los Angeles. We had a theme song that we played together. It could happen to you. Joe Stafford made it. Ba 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 bee 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 ba 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 boo 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 ba 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 doo. It could happen to you. And everybody told me, says, you're not going in the Army. I said, yes, I am.
But I did try on a local level to convince them that Lester was really not the kind of a person that ought to be drafted and given a gun to become a soldier. But I couldn't, obviously I didn't succeed.
Billy, the bass player, says it hurt him to have to take a gun and put on Lester Young. The white band, McClellan wanted to put Lester in the band. The black band didn't want Lester in the band. The white band was going to pass Lester off as being white. Do you understand what I'm saying?
And he was injured in, what is it called, basic training? Yeah, in basic. He was injured, had to go into the hospital. And they were giving him all kinds of pills and things, and they found some, what they said was dope in his locker, or in his foot locker, while he was in the hospital.
Most of his problems emanated from this officer who was very resentful that Lester had a white wife and had the audacity to display her on his little stand. He was the great Lester Young prior to the officer and he having the confrontation about his wife. After that, it was just one bad detail after another until they finally drummed him out.
All I have to say is that Lester Young is the greatest. Phil, that was a great record. I hate to say this because I'm on it, and I don't mean myself. I mean that Lester Young is really the last word, and he can never be replaced as long as time exists.
He was a unique individual. So like a guy came from outer space and changed everything and then
Right.
went away on us.
Right.
Didn't tell us how to duplicate it.
Right. But, you know, that's the same situation with Art Tatum. Let's think of Art Tatum. He was out there. Let's think of Charlie Christian. You know, these giants, you know, these people are giants. Fats Waller. You know, these people are giants, and they cannot be replaced. And, well, all right, somebody come along that can play with great talent, but there's nothing like the original.
Right. And Lester Young was perhaps the most original artist that jazz has ever known.
Right, and it was a pleasure for me to just have my name associated with it.
When Prez and you hung out together, did you ever have musical conversations, talk about what music was doing?
No, we never talked because I was busy admiring him. There was never a conversation about music. He was the conversation. He was the conversation piece. He was the topic of the day.
I don't think anybody was particularly aware of exactly when he came home. There was certainly no welcome home celebration. He just reappeared on the scene and was very clean for quite a while. And actually, I saw a side of Charlie Parker, fortunately, more often than not, when he was straight. And when he was straight, he was very good, very normal, happy company. I mean, we went out to the beach together with my wife and my mother-in-law and my little daughter, and he would go out there and we'd eat hot dogs and walk along the beach, and it was just like, you know, your next door neighbor. There was that side to Charlie which not everybody saw.
He had a great sense of caring. I was with Earl Hines, Yard and I both were with him. And intermission, I was sitting up playing the piano, right? Like this is a good example. And then some white guy threw a couple pennies up on the stage. I looked down at the pennies and he was my wings, kept playing. Well, that night after the dance, when I thought everybody had left, it was a white dance, I went to the toilet. And when I came out of the toilet, I just happened to look around like this guy had a bottle, and he hit me up here. This bottle and the blood came all out of my uniform. And I picked up I don't know, one of those big baseball balls on the ground, and a lot of guys grabbed me. And Charlie Parker came in to sell all his blood. He told the guy, said, "You took advantage of my friend, you cur." He called him a cur. First time I'd heard that.
Well, you know, Bert always felt that that prejudice coming through that Earl definitely shows on the tape. Somehow he got through it with gritted teeth, but I love the expressions on the video where, I mean, that's a definite put down. Bert could kill with a look, you know.
You boys got anything more to say? Well, Earl, they say music speaks louder than words, so we'd rather voice our opinion that way, if you don't mind.
I think that'd be all right with everybody if you really want to do it.
And it's still there. I can't stand it. It just stopped. Then all of a sudden I couldn't play anything. But some, you know, like Harvard's laid off, you know. He stopped. But he still plays. I like that. You get a fresh start. Only thing about that, it took me about 2 years to get my sound back. Matter of fact, I should be practicing right now. Okay, just let me play something that I like and I'll bow out gracefully. I'll stop. I said to somebody last night that about 6 months from now, this style of music will be dated. You can't do what you did 6 months ago. You mean rank like rank?
Yeah,
rank up.
Rank like up.
You mean like an
Like the best, yeah.
When you say best, you can't say best in any form of the arts. There's no best dancer.
Because it's subjective.
No best actor. You know, PR is 98% of it. But Dizzy would say that I'm one of the best.
What should we tell folks? That Miles Davis has mellowed with age, or that now people are just willing to listen to what he's always been? Or?
Don't tell them nothing. I'm guest. What's he gonna do next?
You like that mystery?
They like it. I'm cool.
How would you say working with Miles Davis has influenced you stylistically?
Well, it has led me into most of the things that I'm doing now. Yeah.
He has had a major stranglehold on you in that matter. I mean, he made you play the way you do, or you got a chance to play like you do?
Well, I've been free. I've been so free here, you know, that almost anything I want to try is I'm welcome to do it, you know. So that's the freedom has helped me.
I heard you were splitting
experiment.
the Miles Quintet here, and I'm trying something on your own.
Yes, I am.
How's that? With whom?
I have several men in mind, but I haven't selected the assignment yet. Yeah. I'm going to try with the quartet.
Would you feel like working with a quartet?
Yeah, to begin with, and maybe in several weeks after I start, I might add a fifth man.
John, which tenor plays do you think have influenced you, if any at all?
All of them. I would say all of them. But
do you have a personal favorite? I mean, like you put on a record when you're at home and relaxing and so on.
Well, Sonny Rollins is, I think he's outstanding tenor man today, you know. And
that is exactly what Sonny Rollins told me on this show about you. So
that's usually, you know, my man.
Mutual Admiration Society.
Yeah,
here.
well, he's great. I mean, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, in the formative days, years ago, it was Dexter Gordon that actually was.
Well, you do have a strong feeling for tradition, haven't you?
I guess so. I mean, I would like to even make it stronger. You know, I like to strengthen my roots, so to say. You know, because I didn't start at the beginning, and there's a whole lot back there. That's, you know, that all young musicians should have.
Privately, I mean, when you're listening, you go back there. I mean, just on your own account and listen.
Well, I don't have many records in that era now, but I do plan to get them. I plan to include that in my repertoire. You know, all these old traditional things.
But
I've been trying recently to search myself, you know, and try to find things that are reminiscent that sound like those things. But I'm really going to do some work on that soon.
Well, John, it seems like you're on with the Miles Davis Quintet here, and thank you very much for taking the time and dropping in on this show.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. Enjoy it.
Thank you to him. And I went to Andy Craig's band and had a nice time. Yeah, I won't have no shit. Fuck it. Don't make no sense. If it's right, but if it's stinking, fucking, you're a stinking motherfucking trying to put some shit on some people. No better for your ass if you have bad luck. But I know I've got a good heart, man. And ain't thinking about no contract, nothing like that. Just trying to get me some money for my family. And it's all clean, believe that. And this bitch would take me down there, Fletcher Anderson's wife. Take me down in the basement and play one of the little wind-up vendors and shit. And ask me, said, Rasta, can't you play like this? Coleman Hawkins play. Ivy-divey. But I mean, don't you hear this? Can't you get with this? You didn't. That's when I split. Every morning that bitch would wake me up at 9 o'clock to try to teach me to play like Coleman Hawkins. And she played trumpet herself.
She was trumpet?
Circus trumpet. Shit. Fuck these motherfuckers. I'm gone. Now that's real shit. That's not no bullshit.
I don't believe they are instruments.
I'm going to just kind of plug you a bit. You know, I don't think perhaps many of the people in the audience know that you have, Sam, perhaps one of the rarest private collections in the United States, probably, of black music. And it's really to your credit. I talked to a student recently, a black student who's incidentally affiliated with the radio, and he was a bit disturbed about your picture in the midst of Charlie Parker, and I advised him of that same fact, that you've really done your homework, Sam, and you really ought to be commended for it.
Thank you, thank you.
Do you appreciate the fans who do their homework and are up on records and discographies? Do you think that helps them in listening to music, or?
Well, I think they know what they're listening to. Sometimes they get carried away and overstudy, you know. But I think it's better to have somebody that knows what they're talking about than somebody come up and say, "Why did you do this?" or things like that, you know, which doesn't fit no kind of way, you know.
When you hear music, after it's over, it's gone in the air. You can never capture it again.
Dicky Wells. Hi, Dicky. How you feeling?
Hey, how you doing, Cellarini?
Yes, I might point out to our listeners that Dicky Wells, I believe, is the last full-time practitioner of Lester Young talk, and certainly Prez was one of the most amazing experts on linguistics that we've ever seen here in the States. He had his own way of talking, didn't he?
Yeah, he had his things going.
Yeah.
On his horn and his voice.
Mm-hmm. How would he talk? What would he do that was so different from other people who just kind of try to talk slang or hip or what?
Well, if he talked to chick, like say a chick is coming, he says she's coming booty-rooty. It means she's coming kind of fast, you know. She's coming slow, she's lowsy, scozy-dozy. Paddling along. Yeah, paddling. He used paddle a lot.
Yeah?
So he had his particular lingo.
What was that thing you were telling me about Basie, the name he had for Basie there, when Basie was putting on weight?
He called him Fatty Rooney. Yeah, so Fatty Rooney's still playing piano. It's called Basie Holy Main. That means the boss, you know.
Uh-huh.
Here comes the Holy Main. Quieten down, you know.
What was Lester Young's nickname for you?
Well, I called him Prayers like anyone else.
But what did he call you?
He called me Mr. Bones.
Mr. Bones?
Yeah, trombone, you know.
You're one of the people who got one of the Mr. nicknames. Most people got the lady nickname.
Yeah.
I guess you were in a special category.
All Bones, bone players rather, was called Bones.
Uh-huh. He called Eddie Durham Pound Cake.
Pound Cake, yeah. Yeah. It was a little before I got there.
I wonder, do you know what he called Benny Morton by any chance?
He called him Mr. Bones.
Oh, really? He had a thing for the trombone section.
Yeah, I got to get by and see Mr. Bones, Mr. Morton Bones tomorrow. He's kind of ill. He's coming along fine.
Oh, that's very good to hear. We all wish Benny Morton a very speedy recovery.
Yeah.
Right, well.
Perez was really a comedian. Everybody was glad to have him around talking his trash.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I've read somewhere, and I've always wanted to find out from people who knew about Prez. Was he really the first person to use the expression bread for money? They said that was his word.
Yeah, comedians used to use it once in a while, the older comedians, way back, you know.
I think he passed that on down into the musicians.
Yeah, he kept it going for musicians, you know, bread, you know. He wants some bread, you know. So come on, Prez, let's make it around the corner. No, I'm kind of voodoo for bread. I mean, he's breadless.
How about Ivy Divey? I heard Prez said Ivy Divey a lot. Why do you say that? What did that mean?
Yeah, well, that's one of his slangs for, well, You may be this and that, but you jiving and talking. You said there's a ivy cat over there. Let him talk.
How about the draft? Did Prez ever say, I feel a draft while you were around, or is that just for other musicians?
Well, Prez used to say around me, feels a draft. I feel a draft coming in. That's regular, something like an argument coming in. He's cutting out. He wants to split to miss the draft. Yeah,
it's too bad he didn't really miss the draft, because he didn't particularly care for the Army.
No, he didn't care at all. He was only there a while.
That was, I believe, first. And then around Oklahoma City and around. And then later I went to Kansas City, because that's where it was all happening. Everybody was in Kansas City around 29, 30 and on, you know. And I went to Kansas City, and Lester and I became very, very close friends. I mean, close friends. Very, very dear friends. And Lester, I don't think that there are words to describe the personality of this man. I don't believe that I could find words to really, you know, describe his mannerisms and how kind he was in one sense, and how positive he was in objecting to things that he didn't really believe in. You know, he was very positive about things like that.
Mm-hmm. And what struck you first about Prez that promoted your friendship? Was it these character traits that you were just talking about, or did you notice his difference on his instrument right away?
Well, his personality made you. You know, he used to wear those porcupine hats, and he always, the manner in which he spoke, you know, pops were babes were sweets, you know, and that sort of
What did you think of that, of Prez's lingo?
Well, I thought it was just lingo, you know. Having lived in the colloquial expressions in the South, and hearing guys, you know, early in my life, I played with the guys from New Orleans, you know, and you heard that broken language. But his was English, but the kind of English that was part slang and part impressive. You had to look around when he said something. You had to.
Yes, one of the things that was part of the lingo or language of Lester Young was his habit of tagging everybody with a nickname. There were whole families of nicknames. There were the Mr. nicknames, the lady nicknames, the Miss nicknames, and the weird word nicknames. Did you get a nickname from Lester Young?
No, I didn't get a nickname from Lester Young. Lester, Pops, he called me Pops, and Sweets, and Sammy. And, you know, very few people called me Sammy. I didn't allow that in my early days. That sounded like a girl's name. Dude called me Sammy.
Well, if he called you Lady Price, I guess that'd be a girl's name, too.
Right. If he called me Lady Price, then we'd have to go to Fifth City, you know.
The only I know is for me to go under the seat, and I wanted to go up under the seat with the boy.
Yeah. But you wouldn't, you know, you couldn't hide that well, you know, under the seat.
Well, look, they got fat white men. That's why they got 300-pound white men. I'm like, a cat with 300-pound seat.
Borrow his seat. Yeah.
Under the seat, you don't know what's going on. Unless somebody goes turn me in, there's names under that seat.
Yeah, you probably have to rub him out to get his seat, though. Do him in.
Well, the only people know that is one who's missing the sticks, the plow handles. That's all the cats know that. I don't know. I don't think I go that far. To take a cat's life to go up on their seat. No, I wouldn't go for that.
Well, so that's about it. Yeah. Wow. It's been interesting.
It's interesting. It's about, I can say it's been interesting, because I'm half sleepy anyway.
Oh, wow. Okay. No.
Let me see. On piano, I always did like Buddy Kyle. Hank Jones.
Notons qu'à ses débuts, Bud fut fortement influencé par Billy Kyle. Bud Powell, quel est votre maître au piano?
Art Taylor. I don't know. Art Taylor used to take me out for a drive in his big Lincoln. He had a sky blue Lincoln. Yeah. And I have been in his car.
Quel est votre compositeur favori, Bud?
Thelonious Monk. Thelonious Monk. One of my friends from a long time ago. We used to hang out all day and all night, and that's how I enjoyed it.
Bud, quel trompettiste, quel saxophoniste aimez-vous?
Saxophone sounded good for trumpet, Miles Davis.
Et parmi les bassistes?
When he was alive, I was better for it. I like Tommy Potter, he's a good bass player.
Bud, si. Quels sont vos accompagnateurs favoris, Bud?
Max Roach and Ray Brown.
Bud Powell va beaucoup mieux. Au sanatorium, les docteurs lui ont donné quelques jours de vacances. Il est dans notre studio ce soir et va nous donner lui-même de ses nouvelles.
I feel fine, thank you. The doctor said I'll be well soon and I'll go home. He said it's improving fast.
Je vais bien. Bud, avez-vous entendu des choses intéressantes récemment?
Well, Charlie Mingus is nice and Tashiko is nice. I think she's a very technical pianist.
Bud, écoutez-vous souvent des disques de Art Tatum?
I'm crazy about Tatum. He's still my best friend, one of my good friends.
Bud, quelles sont vos dernières compositions?
3 new tunes. In the Mood for a Classic is one. Hey Diddy D is another. And O Noche con Francis is the other.
J'ai écrit. Connaissez-vous Bill Evans, Bud?
I heard him on records only. He's nice. He can play. I heard he was sick.
Je ne l'ai entendu. Bud, merci d'être venu et au revoir.
Bonsoir. Je reviens bientôt.
It's been a good 12 hours under the lights and camera and, you know, playing these pieces, you know, repetitive over and over again. I think we was played up my favorite things about 50 times that day. And the thing about it, and I didn't mind, you know, it never got boring. It was never, I was never bored at all with the music. Every time we played it, at each repeat of you know, something, we want to see you do something to correct something in the background, no matter what it was. It was a new experience. It was just the same. I think the last take we made of that was probably the strongest one that we did. John's style was completely unconventional. He had a completely unique approach to music, and which was different than many of the other players did.
Yeah, a lot of the musicians didn't know. They was trying to figure out what it was. You know, like, I mean, Cannonball used to stand right next to him, you know, and I guess try to figure out what the structure was or what he was doing, you know.
He was so far in advance of anything that I could conceive. I've never really been that close to anybody that great or that good. Or I had that. I don't know how can I put it. I suppose one way of putting it would be to say he had so much confidence in what he was doing. You know, he seemed to have no anything that he wanted to do. It was just a matter of getting to the point, getting to the bandstand, taking out the assembling his instrument and doing it.
I remember one time I was playing, you know, he was playing like one of those 20 minutes, 25-minute solos, and like the tune had gotten into maybe in a half hour, this one tune. So like perspiring like I used to perspire a lot, you know, like especially within the summertime. So we had played so long till the stick slipped out of my hand and flew like across the stage and went right across his head, you know. So when we came down off the stage, I said, look, man, I'm sorry, but the stick flew out of my hand. I said, what did you think had happened? He said, this guy finally threw a stick at me for playing off.
I remember one matinee in Philadelphia at a club there. We played one piece for the entire matinee. It was 3 hours. So he just started taking it so he got wound up and the thing went. He just played the complete matinee. We didn't take a break, intermission, anything.
just straight through. And Miles used to ask him and say, well, man, why do you play so long? And he used to tell Miles that once he got involved in whatever he was doing, he didn't know how to cut it off, you know. So Miles used to tell him, say, take the horn out your mouth. I was sort of apprehensive a little bit about that. I thought John would get started and forget that we were on doing a television show and you know, take a half an hour solo and the thing would be over before he wouldn't get all of his tunes in. But he controlled it pretty well. He was good at that, you know. Which certainly exploded the mess about him being, you know, getting involved that he wasn't conscious of other things going on. He was extremely conscious. He knew exactly where he was, what he was doing all the time. McCoy layout, when he first started to do that, having McCoy layout on a duet kind of thing. When that first started to happen, I was just as surprised as anybody else because I didn't see him give any signals. And but after a while, I began to understand what it was all about and the reasons for it. Yeah. Once the piano was out of the group, then that whole vacuum that would be there could be filled either rhythmically or with bass or with the expanded harmonics of the horn of his horn itself, his own expanded range, and without any preconceived pattern of chord progression. So he was free of that, and it was a tremendous leap into the future, I think.
Not only did I respect him as a musician, but I began to respect him as a person because of the way that he would live his life.
John was a very sweet guy, you know. I mean, like all the whole time I knew him, he was a very, very sweet human. I mean, to have that much energy, I never seen him do nothing bad to anybody, you know. He was so calm, had such a peaceful attitude. It was soothing to be around.
Bird, and I used to have to, after he went to Camarillo, I used to go out to Camarillo at least twice a week and see him and take him whatever he wanted, whatever he needed, you know, like cigarettes or candy or whatever he wanted. Mm-hmm. And it's ironic that we would talk about a thing like Camarillo when they had a psychiatrist there from Vienna that was supposed to be straightening Bird out. You know, shortly after Bird left, the guy committed suicide. The psychiatrist, he committed suicide. And that's a funny thing to do, you know. He couldn't. I don't know why that a guy would do a thing like this, but Bird come out straight, smiling and happy, and saying the guy, his psychiatrist cracked up. I really didn't understand that why, but I talked with the psychiatrist, and he seemed like a fellow that was pretty street. He was telling me about Bird every time I'd go out there and see him. He'd say, "Well, Bird's coming along fine," and so forth. And about 2 weeks later, he cracked up and committed suicide. I don't know. That's a funny thing to say about a guy, you know. But Bird came on back out, and he had gained weight and everything, and his nerves was back and things.
This was at a point in his career where he could use gaining some weight.
Oh, he needed help right then, and they gave it to him. In fact, the time that they put him in the Lincoln Hospital, he was living at a Japanese hotel down on St. Pedro and First Street, I think, down in Los Angeles. And the guy from the hotel knew that I was trying to help him, so when Bird came downstairs nude, and the guy told him, "Say, you can't walk around like this, so you go back in your room and put your clothes on." So Bird went on outside and was sitting on top of a car, nude. He didn't know he didn't know where he was at. He didn't even know what was going on, because the urge and the craving for drugs was so strenuous on his mind that he didn't know what was really happening. But in the meantime, the guy called me from the hotel, and in the meantime, he'd call the police also So when I got there, they had taken Bird to the Lincoln Hospital. I went over to the hospital, and the doctor had gave him a shot of dope, and he was fine. Wasn't anything wrong with him. You know, he was back to his normal self. You know, he was back. So I said, "Well, Bird, what happened?" He said, "I don't know." I said, "I look up here. I am. Here I'm in the bed, and I feel fine." And I said, "Oh yeah." I said, "What did they give you?" He said, "Nothing that I know of." And they gave him a shot of dope and brought him around, and he was cool. So, but anyway, it went before the judges the next morning, and they read that report of what had happened the night before. So the guy said, "Well, maybe we better have him checked out." So they sent him to Camarillo.
Right.
And that's why he got checked out. You know, and he was all right. The psychiatrist said he had no problem with Bird out there. Although I don't know how Bird could stand it, because they had you could hear all the moaning and groaning going on, and even in the visiting room. You know, when the guy would come out to see you could hear all this funny sounds going on. I don't know how he stood it, but he come out smiling. You know, that's kind of funny.
It is funny. It's also very fine to know, you know, that in adverse circumstances, after a lot of bad breaks, that Bird was able to come back so strong.
Yeah, his mind, well, he was something else. If you play a track like the difference in before he went in and the thing that he did after he came out, like Cheers and Cobb and the Bird and stuff, this is a different man all completely from the way he sounded before he went in.
Well, you want to do that?
Why not?
Okay, that sounds good.